Over a matrix of honeycomb, you're watching coordinated labor. In the hive, every bee has its place and its job. From the queen, the only breeding female, to the drones, stingless male bees whose sole purpose in the hive is to mate with the queen. The busiest are the female workers.
We have up to 384,000 bee colonies, and 140,000 of them are in the modern beehive boxes. Productivity-wise, the European bees are said to be better, but we see it here. Production reaches 30 to 35 kilos of honey a year, and that is quite an impressive sum. There's not much forest beekeeping. The farmers keep bees in their backyard. You don't see swarming as in other places. Therefore, productivity and management of bees is better here.
The bees' tiny bodies vibrate back and forth, giving a communicative hum. This is how they share details about food sources with one another. Workers maintain the hive, collect pollen and nectar, and when necessary, defend the colony against threats. These are bees you don't take lightly.
The bees are very aggressive. Compared to the bees in Europe, the African bees are aggressive. What scares me most is that they sting. They could actually kill.
Unfortunately, bee researcher Gabrayamlak Bezabi doesn't have a choice. He has to work with these potential killers.
So this bee is very strong, and it has, now the forage availability is not that much, but it has a lot of honey, pollen, and a lot of worker bees. So this bee is very strong. It would be better if they are not aggressive, but we are enjoying because they are resistant to pests, diseases, and predators.
The aggressiveness of these bees, though, is possibly one of their only saving graces. Around the world, the health of honeybees is under threat from something called colony collapse disorder, or CCD. A critical link in the food chain for humans, honeybees pollinate 1/3 of the world's crops. So the sudden and widespread disappearance of honeybees has farmers alarmed. Meanwhile, scientists are still trying to pinpoint the exact cause of CCD. But pesticides, parasitic mites, and an inadequate food supply are major factors. Despite the widespread threat, though, experts say Ethiopia's bees have so far been spared.
Actually, the population is increasing from time to time. That is because we have colony reproduction, and the type of diseases found here is not detrimental. What you find in other countries is not observed here. We haven't made an in-depth research, but there is no colony collapse disorder here.
Scientists are interested to find out why African bees are thriving despite Varroa. That's a parasitic mite that's wiped out billions of bees around the world.
When we compare it to other countries, we don't expect it to create problems in Africa. Even if you see it in the beehive box, it doesn't affect production that much. So we don't believe that they are affected as the European or American bees are. There are instances of Varroa mite in Africa, but they survive that and provide good harvest. Their resistance to diseases amazes me.
So resistance could be in their genes, something scientists will begin to research as they look for ways to solve bee disappearances elsewhere.
As a researcher, I can't be conclusive. There needs to be more data to determine the exact cause. But it is possible resistance could perhaps be due to their genes. There's lots of human interference in Europe and the U.S. There are lots of diseases, so lots of research is being done on the beehives. The diseases that affect bees in Europe, America, and Asia don't affect bees here. That's vital. These are strong bees. Even the feral bees are producing more. Therefore, we don't expect them to be negatively affected. And that is what you consider great. In places where there is virtually nothing, no feed. For example, in the Afar region, where there is no forage, you see bees producing honey. This is the good thing here. Quite often in winter, in the U.S. or Europe, it is very cold and they give the bees artificial forage. We don't do that here. The farmers are told that they have to provide them with additional food in the dry season. It could be chickpeas as a source of protein or sugar that could replace nectar. Therefore, in times of drought, it is essential to provide additional food. So if the bee stays in good condition, it can produce honey in a very short time. So we tell them to feed them and try to multiply them when the plants blossom. That is without any additional feed or forage. That is what amazes me about African bees. Without any feed, they can save some of that and gets them through the year. That means they survive throughout the year with the rains that come once or twice a year.
And still produce some of the continent's most well-known honey.
And that's for two main reasons. One is weather, and the other most important one is forage and feed. The various plants such as tabeb, gerbia, and sharwakani, all three of these plants flower throughout the year. So these plants are what help the honey to be white. And for the honey to be good, you need less moisture in the environment. We consider this environment a threat to the crops, but it is great for production of quality honey. So both the moisture content and the plants are great for the production of white honey.
A sweet venture for locals, though the process can sting.